Hey, how's it going, everyone? Just back again with another lesson on the two witnesses. So I was reading this account in Mark 10 and just thought that I would use it to reaffirm, my teaching on the two witnesses, what I believe that I received on January 1st, 2020. And, it's reaffirmed here, and really everywhere in the Bible, all my sequence videos reaffirm that narrative, and that Christ will return and then take away his elect prior to wrath, and then he returns to administer the final wrath. And so that time that he arrives the first time, he's going to be with two men, like he is in many, many times in the Bible, in Genesis when he's about to destroy Sodom, in the Transfiguration, again in Acts 1:10-11, and then we're told that reciprocal event's going to happen in the last days. And then we're reminded of that here, in Mark 10. So all roads, lead to what I teach, and I just to further reaffirm that is indeed the case, and any other teaching is incorrect, and evil and satanic. And so Mark 10, I've just posted a video going through all the sequence, but I'm just going to focus here on the part of the two witnesses. Mark 10:34, and they will mock him and spit on him and flog him and kill him, and after 3 days he will rise. And James and John, the sons of Zebedee, so these are two of his disciples, came up to him and said, "Teacher, we want you to do for us whatever we ask of you." So it's kind of like coy what they're doing, sneaky. And he said to them, "What do you want me to do for you?" And they said to him, "Grant us to sit one at your right hand and one at your left in your glory." So we have to understand, just by the way Jesus answered this, they didn't ask a ridiculous question in the sense that that there's not two seats that exist. Okay, and just by the way that Jesus answered, listen to this. Jesus said to him, "You do not know what you are asking. Are you able to drink the cup that I drink, or to be baptized with the baptism with which I am baptized?" And they said to him, "We are able." And Jesus said to him, "The cup that I drink, you will drink. And the baptism with which I am baptized, you will be baptized. But to sit at my right hand or at my left is not mine to grant, but it is for those for whom it has been prepared." And so it is not even up to him, it's up to the Most High. And so he didn't say, "What are you talking about? What two seats are you talking about?" kind of thing. They're obviously very clearly two seats of honor and authority next to Christ. And then these are his disciples, so they already are in a good position with God, close proximity to Christ. So he'd be like, "What are you talking about? You're already one of my disciples, if these two seats didn't exist." And so just by that, we know that, and Christ very explicitly says, "But to sit at my right hand or at my left is not mine to grant." And so the two seats exist. Okay. And so these are the two souls that go where Christ goes. Okay. And then they have a lot of power, and it's Moses and Elijah. Okay. And so those are the two witnesses. And so they're even above the disciples and the 144,000. And so just know that that's the hierarchy, and so that's it's going to be no different when Christ is taken away in Acts 1:10-11. The two men appear there, Moses and Elijah. And then in the last days when Christ returns, then they're going to be with him as well, seated on his left and right hand with power. And then the reason that's important to know as well, why is Christ asking them, "You do not know what you are asking"? Because he's letting them know that if you want to be those two seats, then you have to be ready to do what they're going to be doing in the last days. And so they're like, "You don't even know what you're talking about." Okay, it's not just sitting there and just drinking, like Arnold Palmer's and lemonade all day and all that kind of stuff. It's like, he's like, "Are you able to drink the cup that I drink, or to be baptized with the baptism with which I am baptized?" And they said, "We are able." And he said, "The cup that I drink, you will drink." So they're saying that, the crucifixion that he's about to experience, they're going to die similarly. Okay. So the disciples are not alive until this day and all that kind of stuff. So the only way this generation will be here in the last days is if they were reincarnated. So just know that. And they're like, "We are able." And Jesus said to them, "The cup that I drink, you will drink, and the baptism with which I am baptized, you will be baptized. But these two seats are reserved for a special two spirits, because they have a very unique job in the last days, which mirrors Christ's ministry. In fact, so if you read Revelation 11, I've done many, many lessons on this. When the two witnesses are brought to America, you can set your watch to 1,260 days is their length of their ministry, which mirrors Christ's ministry. We don't have the exact dates of when he began and end, but it's very likely Christ's ministry was very short. Why? Because his message was offensive to the structures at that time. And no different in these days in Revelation 11, these two witnesses, their message, what they're doing is going to be offensive to the entire earth. That's the difference in this time. And so they're going to not last long. And 3.5 years to me is actually incredible how they'll be able to maintain their feet on the ground for that long. but God has ordained that, and so it will not be a day more, a day less until they're killed by the beast system. And so it's very parallel to what Christ went through. And so once God comes here or sends his representatives, this earth kills them. That's the whole point, because we're in hell. And so just know that. Revelation 11, 1, and there was given me a reed like unto a rod, and the angel stood, saying, Arise and measure the temple of God and the altar, and then that worship therein. So this is a group that's already worshiping in the temple. So this is God's elect taken away already. That always starts the sequence. But the court which is without the temple, so that everywhere that this group is not, which is here on this earth, and measure it not, for it is given unto the Gentiles. So the Gentiles, like I did in that sequence video in Mark 10, Christ says the Gentiles lord over people, okay, and exercise their authority. So the earth is given into the hand of the wicked, which are the Gentiles, the non-Israelites, okay. And so listen to this: for it is given unto the Gentiles, in the holy city shall they tread under 40 and 2 months. And I'll give power unto my 2 witnesses. It's a literal 2. Okay, all these actors on YouTube don't have a clue what they're talking about. They'll say all means some. They'll say 2 witnesses means 2 nations. They'll just make up stuff. And so I would highly recommend people, if you're going to be into the Bible, just take it. If you're unsure, just take it literally. Okay. And I will give power unto my 2 witnesses, and they shall prophesy 1,260 days, clothed in sackcloth. That's very specific. And then even in the verse prior, it says 40 and 2 months. And so 42 months, 1,260 days. And so God's reminding us in 2 verses back to back that that's literal. These are the 2 olive trees and the 2 candlesticks standing before the God of the earth. And so these are 2 souls and 2 entities that are in right next to God on his left and his right hand side, like they're jockeying for that position in Mark 10. And so, and if any man will hurt them, fire proceeds out of their mouth and devoureth their enemies. And if any man will hurt them, he must in this manner be killed. Okay. And these have power to shut heaven, that it rain not in the days of their prophecy, and have power over waters to turn them to blood. Those are the plagues in Revelation 16. And to smite the earth with all plagues, as often as they will. This is why Christ says that some of his followers will do even greater works than he's done. Christ has never been on earth and like it says here, smite the earth with all plagues, like while he was here in the body. But he's given his power to his 2 witnesses to do that. And so these are very, very special souls. They're not these ding-dongs on YouTube who barely know how to type a sentence. Okay, it's definitely not anybody in the 501c3 church. These have to be very, very special and exalted spirits that not even the disciples, who are part of the 144,000, could do, could administer this. So they have to be pure, okay? Like that's why it says he's the 2 olive trees and the 2 candlesticks standing before the God of the earth. And that's a reference to the book of Zechariah, where at that time they're going to be administering a pure oil, and the gospel is going to be preached during this time. And so these have to be 2 pure entities. And so, just know that. And so, listen to this. And when they shall have finished their testimony, the beast that ascendeth out of their bottomless pit. And I just want people to understand, testimony and prophecy are the same thing, according to Revelation 19:10. It's 1-to-1. So people that come by and say, I have a testimony, and then they don't say, God told me this is going to happen. I'm like, what are you talking about? That's not a testimony. You're stupid. Revelation 19:10. And I fell at his feet to worship him. And he said unto me, See thou do it not. And I am thy fellow servant and of thy brethren that have the testimony of Jesus. Worship God. Listen to this: for the testimony of Jesus is the spirit of prophecy. And why is prophecy so important? Because it's a powerful thing. Because in order to prophesy, you have to have power and authority, because you're going to say something in advance and then it happens. And so you are involved in that, and then God would have told you that because he's the one who said to, say whatever you're about to say, and then he's going to do what you just said. And so it requires a tremendous amount of power. And so that's why prophecy and healing are the same thing. When Christ would say, go, your servant has been healed, that's a prophecy. He's saying when you go home, you're going to notice that your servant's healed. And so he's telling them what's going to happen in the future, but he's also healing as well. So prophecy requires power, and that power can only come from God. And that's why you ding-dongs that come on my channel don't have a clue what you're talking about. Okay, so that's the times that we live in. And so just to get that reference in Zephaniah as well about the oil, Zephaniah 4:12. And I answered again and said unto him, What be these 2 olive branches which through the golden pipes empty the golden oil out of themselves? And so this is a reference to the two witnesses, the two olive branches, and then two golden pipes empty the golden oil out of themselves. And so these two entities have a lot of power. And then during this 1260-day period, it's going to be the gospel being preached in the sky, and so that's the everlasting gospel, according to Revelation 14:6. And so just be aware of that, and so this is why it's making all these references. So, this is Zechariah linking up with Revelation 11 and 14, and linking up with Mark, everything. Okay, the whole Bible, like, it makes sense. Okay, and only the elect can understand. And so just know that. Here we go. And when they shall have finished their testimony, which is prophecies, these are prophets, the beast that ascendeth out of the bottomless pit shall make war against them, and shall overcome them and kill them. And so if we replace testimony with prophecy, then these two witnesses are going to be prophesying. And so I know for a fact, because I've asked and looked around, the only person that I've seen on YouTube that has made a correct prophecy or prediction is Rob Skiba. And he does not have the nerve to say that he's the two witnesses, at least as far as I know, in the book of Revelation. He's the only person that I've seen at all that has made a prediction and then it came true, in our lifetime, that we could verify that he made it years ago and then it came true. And so, and like, it was specific, not just like, things are going downhill, the economy is going to crash. No, he specifically told us what the mark of the beast was, and I have that video on my channel. I'll link it below. So aside from him, I haven't seen anybody make a single prediction that actually happened. I see a lot of people say, 50-50, America's going to be destroyed in 2000, and nothing like that never happens and all that kind of stuff. And so the only person aside from Rob Skiba now is myself. And what I said has not happened yet. So, but I'm putting my testimony, which is the spirit of prophecy, as a candidate, to be considered. And then I put a time limit on it as well, which is financial in nature. And I'm thankful for that. So just by the wording of Revelation 11:7, the only person that could fit this is Rob Skiba, okay? And like, I'm saying that as a joke, because Rob Skiba is an actor, but he's the only candidate, and he's a flat earther, so at least he's not, spinning ball earther like a lot of these other prophets are. And so it's obviously not him, okay? And so it has to be two men that are brought here. Again, by all these verses, Mark 10 and everywhere, Acts 1:10-11, and just everywhere, all my sequence videos. So, and when they shall have finished their testimony / prophecy, the beast that ascended out of the bottomless pit shall make war against them and shall overcome and then kill them. So why would the beast, which is a system worldwide, and we see that everywhere, and why would they have a problem with them unless they were doing what they said in the prior verse? Smite the earth with all plagues as often as they will. So the entire earth is irritated by these people. That's why they kill them. And then we get a clue of where their feet will be, and their dead bodies shall lie in the street of the great city, which spiritually is called Sodom and Egypt, where also our Lord was crucified. And so spiritually, Christ was crucified in America because they spread their corporate wine and their philosophies of like family and weird families structures worldwide. And so that's crucified Christ spiritually. And so we know where they're going to be. They're going to be in America. And so, and they have the people and kindreds and tongues and nations shall see their dead bodies 3 days and a half and shall not allow their dead bodies to be put in graves. So how can the people worldwide see their dead bodies unless you have modern day telecommunications? So how could this have happened already in the past for the preterists out there, all these other bird brains? So no. And there's people on YouTube, End Time Teacher is one of them, and GMS and Sakari, they actually believe that this is them. And then they walk and talk, and people listen to them and all that kind of stuff, like, and they don't make fun of them like I do. And so what does that tell you about the rest of the world, not just those people who think that this is them? Okay, this is the world that we live in. I want people to get an understanding of that, how unsafe and unstable the world is. Okay, anybody who would read Revelation 11 would not go, oh yeah, that's me. Okay, like of all the verses and chapters to read, okay, maybe if, Christ is talking about, he loves people. Oh, okay, that could be me. Okay, that's reasonable. But to read Revelation 11 and then to put yourself into that requires next level, you know what I'm saying? And so, and then people go and hang out and have hangouts with these people and think that they're just everyday average people. Okay, that's mentally deranged. Okay, to the highest order. A person that says they're Christ, like Samuel Owens, Concave Earth Christians, that's ridiculous. And just obviously, like, just don't take them seriously. But there are people who genuinely every day, just because they wear sackcloth and that's it, they think that they fulfill this. Okay, so I want people to understand this is the world that we live in and why I don't want to be here. because the religious people are deranged. And then the people that surround them, they take them seriously, or don't call them out. In the past, if you did that kind of stuff, you get stoned. Okay. In the ancient times, prophesy then, say something. And then if it doesn't happen, guess what happens to you? Okay. Now it's like everybody, you just have an email and a YouTube account, and then you're the BIG and all that kind of stuff. And then there's people around them, which I want is the most sinister part. It's not the person saying it, it's the people around them that enable it. Okay. And so that's all you people. And so I'm getting away from you people. I'm just laughing at everybody that comes by my channel because you people are mental. And if you don't actively call out people who will read Revelation 11 and then insert themselves into it, and then with a smile on their face, okay, that's why this earth is completely disgusting. Okay, so if these words are true, I don't want to be here because people are mental and insert themselves into parts of the Bible that they have no business even reading, much less putting themselves in. And then if the Bible's not true, then we've all deceived. Okay, my bad. Okay, I apologize to everybody who I've said anything mean to, religious or not. I was the stupid one. Me, TMoG. Okay, here's my dunce cap. Okay, on my head. It was me that was stupid. So I apologize for that. Okay, but if these words are true, know for a fact that these two men are the two spirits that sit on Christ's left and right hand side. That's Moses and Elijah. Okay, and no other. Okay, and I don't want to hear any other options or opinions on that because that's stupid. And no, it's nobody in the 501c3 church of these bird brain Hebrew Israelites who barely know how to read and just bark at people all day like dogs. Okay, no. And so absolutely not. No one cares what they're doing or saying. Okay, listen to this. And they that dwell upon the earth shall rejoice over them and make merry and shall send gifts to one another because these two prophets tormented them that dwell on the earth. Two prophets. How are the Hebrew Israelites tormenting the earth? With what? Their clown show? By putting a mask on with Sakari on it and End Times Teacher wearing a mask, like me friend you strike was weak. Those are the people that are going to torment the earth. Are you kidding me? I want people to understand we're living in very, very serious times, okay? Get your head right, okay? Don't take YouTube seriously. Take these words seriously, okay? Because God is not forgiving if you're gullible to fall for that nonsense, okay? Don't. That's nonsense. And after 3 days and a half, the spirit of life from God entered into them, and they stood up on their feet, and great fear fell upon them which saw them. They're like, oh, okay. What is that? Okay. And then they know what's coming. They absolutely know what's coming after that. And this is a lashing that has never happened in human history. This is when Christ returns with his elect and the angels to just burn everything. Okay, and this right here is the second woe that's passed. That destruction is the third woe. Okay, and if anybody that gets destroyed in this next destruction, which is America being destroyed, and then when Christ returns with his elect, bringing fire too, according to Isaiah 66:15, then it's body and soul that gets destroyed. And no, you don't get a second chance after that. Oh no, I was just kidding about that. It's like End Time Teacher teaches because he's an idiot. No, I was just kidding. Oh, no, we'll give you a second chance in the kingdom and all. No, that's body and soul gets destroyed. That's God's left hand side being destroyed by Christ himself. Okay, and we're anxious for those days. Hope everyone's doing well. Bye.